better vision so I can see the screen from the back. If you would bow your heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we're so privileged to live where we do and in the era that we do. We thank you for taking care of our basic needs and also for helping us with our dreams. Lord, we thank you for the rain that's predicted in the forecast tomorrow, and we ask that you would just be close to all those that are suffering from different circumstances related to fires in California, related to floods in Houston, related to all the different things that make life challenging. And I pray, Father, that we could depend on you daily for our daily bread. Lord, I pray for this meeting and that your name would be glorified and help us to be busy about your service. In Christ's name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you remain standing and join with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's see, we got birthdays this week. Barry Bowden is April 7th. Rob Hipp is April 8th. Wiley Woodsall is April 8th. Jared King is April 9th. And Dennis Pepin is going to be 3/4 of a century old. That's 75 on April 9th. I think that's awesome. Let's see, spouses' birthdays. We have Glenn Beck's wife, Susan, has a birthday on April 11th. Stephen Bernald's wife, Nancy, on April 11th. And Fred Brent's wife, Terry, on April 11th. No anniversaries and no club anniversaries.
Okay, Rhonda's going to do her classification talk for us now.
So I am Rhonda Pritchard. I work for Wolf Ranch Town Center here in Georgetown as a property manager, also known as the mall manager, some people call us. I oversee 2 additional properties, Lakeline Plaza and Lakeline Village down in Cedar Park. I've been in property management in different capacities for the past 12 years. I love being in property management as it allows me to have my hands in all kinds of activities daily. It never gets boring. I can be doing something from operations, such as overseeing our landscaper contracts, to checking in on the construction workers and the build-outs for our new tenants. I get to get up on the roof, which I do not like occasionally, and I've been down in the sewers as well, so I get to do all kinds of exploring on our property. I analyze numbers and figure out how to best invest capital funds into my properties, help lease the spaces to tenants, and also get to create and put on great events for our community. I learn something new almost every single day that I work. Prior to property management, I worked in retail as a store manager for companies like Macy's, Gap, and Build-A-Bear Workshop, which I have to say was the funnest job of my entire life. You never had a sad day, you always had a great happy day. Building somebody's experience every day was awesome. I got my bachelor's degree and my MBA while I was in my 40s, working and raising my children. My husband and I have raised 3 adult children, or 3 children to adulthood. They weren't adult. That was a little crazy. Although they're still adults at 30s, and I'm still trying to figure out if we're raising them or not sometimes. We're working on our 2nd trilogy. We like to call the first 3 our first trilogy. We have 3 more beautiful children that we adopted. They were siblings to keep them together, and they're 6, 7, and 11 now. So yeah, we almost empty nesters, and then we started right back over. So it's been fun. I love traveling the world. I've been to Kenya, Africa, Costa Rica, Prague, and the Czech Republic, Italy, London, Mexico, Finland, Qatar in the Middle East, not to mention 43 states out of the 50 states. Even though I have a fear of heights, I went ziplining over the rainforest in Costa Rica. I did open my eyes eventually, like the 3rd or 4th line down. And I eventually let go of the guy's head who tried to put me up on the harness. My husband, who was ahead of me, went way ahead of me, and they told him I wasn't coming because he went first, and I grabbed the guy's head when he stuck me up there. But I did go. He was surprised to find me at the end because they told him I wasn't coming. I love volunteering and have worn several hats over the years in various school clubs and sport events outside of my job. I even started a lacrosse club in Cedar Park and was the president of that club for about 4 years before my son finally graduated, and I kept getting called back, and I finally said, I think it's time for me to go, let another parent take over. So that was a lot of fun. I missed lacrosse a lot, but I don't miss my son getting hit with a stick. I have a desire to be on Survivor or The Amazing Race. I find it fascinating that people will go through all kinds of extremes and put themselves through their bodies through all kinds of craziness just to see if they can. And I think that someday I would like to do one of those. I'm also involved in my church and love helping with different opportunities that provides. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Rhonda. Okay, if you brought a guest, would you please stand and introduce your guest?
My guest today is my wife, Angie.
Okay, do we have, over here. Okay, Myra's coming.
You caught me with a roll in my mouth. My name is Sherry Hanley. I'm actually used to holding a microphone. I'm an auctioneer. My name is Sherry Hanley, and Cindy is a friend and client of mine, and so we were having lunch last week, and she said she was a little nervous about speaking today. So don't worry, and I'll come support you. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, do we have any visiting Rotarians? All right. So I want to make you all aware that Henry Yu, one of our wonderful Rotarians, is filming our meeting today, and then he puts it on YouTube for you to go back and enjoy every minute of these great meetings we have. We have some Rotaract kiddos over here. You guys want to wave at us? They are selling cookies, as I'm sure that you all are aware at this point. And if they sell up to, go ahead. Did they want to talk? Introduce themselves? Sure.
Hi, again, I'm Kaylee, and Rotaract at Southwestern. I'm Aubrey. I'm Nicole. I'm Paola.
So Kaylee, why don't you tell us what you all are doing with those cookies over there?
Yes, so if y'all remember, I came about a month ago, and I talked about the Purple Pinky Project, which raises funds to help end polio. So vaccines for polio are like only 50 cents, so $1 is 2 vaccines, so any contribution that you make will make a huge difference. So yeah, so we're selling cookies if y'all want some.
Well, thank you all, and I understand you all were at Henry's house yesterday baking all these cookies. Yeah. So please buy some cookies and support the girls. Our board decided and voted to match what they raise up to $500. So if they sell $500 of the cookies, then we'll have $1,000 to use with polio vaccines. Thank you all so much. Okay, David Masserang, do you have anything for, no? Okay. Carol, did you have an announcement that you wanted to make? She has her child with her today.
I know, the awe factor. Okay, about the name badges, I need to know if anyone has been a past president or past district governor or past assistant district governor or anything like that from a different club. I have everyone here, but I don't know if you've transferred in and you have had this position somewhere else. So some of you I already have, but if you can please just let me know, and you can send it to me in an email. I would just need the year as well. So just perfect. Yeah, thanks.
So thank you, Carol. We're all pretty excited about our new name badges that will be coming up. So as you may know, next week is our golf tournament. We're all pretty excited about that. And you can see over here on the wall, there's still opportunity for you to buy a team if you would like. And we'll be meeting at Cowan Creek Golf Course Pavilion next week. We will not be here. So make sure that you make that little note. And then after the golf tournament, we're going to have our 19th hole party. And that's where Larry Bingham cooks up some yummy food, and they'll have the beer and the wine all chilled, and we'll just have a good time. And it'll be at the pavilion as well at Cowan Creek. Early Act First Night ceremonies, as you can see, we still have them coming up on the 17th, the 24th, and the 26th. Please make every effort to attend and help support the students. It's pretty amazing when you hear the entire gymnasium full of kids recite the four-way test. It absolutely gives you chills when you hear it. So please, if you can, go ahead and do that. Scholarships. I want to thank those that helped with the scholarships for the high school students and the teachers. As I call your name, if you would stand so we can give you proper thank you for the time you spent helping Danny. Danny Swafford, Julian Grant, Terry Folkerts, Wiley Residel, Tom Wharton, Joanne Douglas, Vanessa Red, and Allison McKee. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Danny. If you helped with the teacher scholarship last week, please stand. Awesome, thank you. Those awards are going to be here on May the 3rd, and there's some other dates that Danny has given me that I'll be getting out to all of y'all. Wanted to also let you know, I was able to meet with some very, very pleasant people last weekend on Saturday. I was contacted by Miriam Ludecki, a Rotarian from Littleton, Colorado. She wanted to trade banners with our club, and I met her brother, Alvin, who lives in Wesleyan. And come to find out, he knows Don Hewlett, he knows Dan Bonner, he knows Georgetown Hewlett, so he's practically a Rotarian already. But his sister was very interested in him finding out as much as he could about our club, and hopefully he will join. So I spent some time with him, and I brought y'all a flag. And if you want to look online, they have a lot of really cool stuff going on. Littleton, Colorado Rotary Club. Okay, the ramp build that was scheduled for tomorrow has been canceled, Myra said, because of the possibility of bad weather. So we will let you know when that's been rescheduled. All right, at this time, I want to let y'all know I had the privilege, Bill and I had the privilege of attending a Boy Scouts of America area council recognition ceremony to see a friend and a fellow Rotarian recognized. Ron Garland, would you please stand? I would like for you all to know that this man, a friend of ours and a Rotarian, is a recipient of the Silver Beaver Award. It's a national award presented by councils. The Silver Beaver Award is a distinguished service award by the Boy Scouts of America. Recipients of this award have been notably and have given notably an exceptional service to youth, making an impact on their lives through service given through the council. The Silver Beaver Award is given to those who implement scouting programs to perform community service through hard work, self-sacrifice, dedication, and many years of service. It is given to those who do not seek it. I love that statement. Congratulations, Ron. That's a pretty big deal, and I'm proud for you. I'm very happy for you. Okay, Mr. Ron Swain. If you would please come up and introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Karen. A few weeks ago, Elizabeth McFarland approached me and said that she would like to be at guard training this weekend, but she has a program schedule, and she asked if I would introduce the speaker that she had recruited. And when I found out who the speaker was or is, I said, of course. And then a few days ago, I received an email from Georgianne Hewitt, who is in charge of programs, and Georgianne detailed out for me exactly what I was supposed to do in terms of meeting our speaker and introducing her to Karen, our president, and ushering her through the line and making sure that the PowerPoint got to the PowerPoint person today. That happens to be Brad Curley. And then when Cindy came in, she told me that she'd already met Karen, she'd already met Brad, she'd already met all the people that I was supposed to introduce her to. So is there anybody who doesn't know Cindy? Well, Cindy Long has been involved with nonprofit organizations for a number of years, and I certainly don't want to take any of her time to talk about the Samaritan Place by introducing her, but I would like to say that Cindy is a good friend. She operates the Samaritan Center, which is serving Central Texas for about 45 years now with counseling and mental health services, and they have a spiritual dimension to their work in this counseling arena. And we're pleased because Cindy has an outpost operation at the Gethsemane Center, where I presently serve as director. And we're delighted to have them as a partner in that ministry there. So Cindy, would you come and meet whoever else that you haven't met at our Rotary Club? Let's give a warm Rotary welcome to Cindy Long.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you, everybody, for that warm welcome. Sherry, thank you for coming. I was having lunch with Sherry and Mike Handley last week and mentioned this, and they said, well, we're longtime Rotarians. And then they let me know that Mike works with the Boy Scouts of America. I was fortunate to sit next to Ron during lunch, and we got to talk about that. So congratulations, Ron, and thank you, Sherry, for coming. So the Samaritan Center, I hope you have heard of us before. Our full name is the Samaritan Center for Counseling and Pastoral Care, and since that's sort of a mouthful and people always get all the words mixed up, and we just go by Samaritan Center, and it actually works better with a small logo, you know, it fits on things. We will be celebrating our 45th year this year. We've been serving Central Texas. We provide counseling and integrative medicine services. So we have been affiliated with the Samaritan Institute, which is in Denver, Colorado, since the beginning 45 years ago. And everybody who is affiliated with that accreditation board takes a holistic approach to care. So at a time when mind, body, spirit is on your shampoo bottle and your laundry detergent box, we have always taken a holistic approach to care. We have always known that you can't treat mental health issues without treating physical health issues. You can't work on physical ailments without thinking about what's happening with the brain. And we know that everybody has a spiritual component, right? Something that makes them unique, something that gives them hope, that gives them peace, that allows them to live their full potential. And then several years ago, we added community. And to us, community means that part of us that really longs to be a part of something. Everyone needs fellowship. You need to be loved. You need to belong to a community. So that's another one of our approaches. Okay. So for 45 years, we have been serving Central Texas with counseling for all ages. So we provide traditional forms of counseling. We have a lot of experience in treating trauma, and you may have heard of a modality called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, EMDR. We believe very strongly in that, and we have a lot of counselors who provide that. Okay. So in 2007, we started our Hope for Heroes program. We provide military-informed counseling and integrative medicine services for veterans and their families. We believe strongly in providing military-informed care, so we actually hire veterans in that program. We have 10 veterans on our staff that provide counseling. I'm going to have to resort to my glasses, kind of off and on, I'm sorry. We also provide treatment for spouses and children as they cope with things like mom or dad being deployed, being away from the house, dad coming home with post-traumatic stress syndrome or traumatic brain injury. Today, our program, our Hope for Heroes program, has grown to be about 50% of what we do. We are fortunate to have a lot of VA facilities within Central Texas, and we are the largest private provider of services for veterans and their families in Central Texas. Okay. And we are unique. A 2014 RAND study tells us that only 13% of community providers have the competence to adequately treat veterans and their families. So again, that's very important to us. We intentionally hire veterans and family members so that we can be strong in that area. And then in 2011, we started our integrative medicine program. So we began offering things specifically to address some of the physical issues that can accompany anxiety, depression. So we have acupuncture and herbal medicine, nutritional counseling. In Austin, we happen to have Tai Chi, Pilates, and yoga classes at our facility as well. Okay. In 2012, we worked with Health and Human Services Commission and we co-created the Military Veteran Peer Network that is now a statewide program. I hope you all have heard of that program. You have here in Williamson County, you have Jaime Cervantes and Teresa Chavez that work out of Bluebonnet Trails. In Austin, we run that contract for integral care. We still do that. In 2014, this large program was actually taken over by a state agency, Texas Veterans Commission, but it started at Samaritan Center. It's still a very important part of what we do. The military veteran peers are charged with getting out in the community and finding veterans who are isolating and who need support. It is the state's solution, one of the solutions for veteran suicide, trying to find people who are not getting the help that they need. Okay. And in 2014, we started a program with Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and we opened the first Veterans Reentry Dorm in the state of Texas. So in this dorm, we house 24 people, 24 veterans. Veterans from around the state and state jails are eligible for this dorm. It's a rigorous selection process. A veteran has to show that one of the factors for incarceration, or one of the reasons they have been incarcerated, is due to military trauma. These are people who have 2-year sentences. A lot of them that's due to substance abuse or DWI, sometimes some domestic violence. I have had the pleasure of going out there a couple of times, and it's really very moving to walk in. All 5 service emblems are on the wall. They raise and lower the flag every day. They have 8 people in a squadron, and the squadrons are Alpha, Beta, Charlie. So are there any veterans here in the audience that makes sense to? When I visited a few months ago, I asked the men if there was any additional programming that they wanted, because what we're doing right now, we've got certified peers out there. They run peer groups. We have a counselor out there to do individual counseling, and she also does anger management and substance abuse counseling in groups. So I asked the men if there was anything else they wanted, and I was surprised to hear that the young men that were there wanted parenting classes. They said, we want to be better parents when we get out of here. So the program is designed to be the last 90 days of their sentence, and that's when they come to the Travis County Jail. They get released to all parts of Texas, but a lot of them decide to stay here, so then when they are going through that reentry process, looking for jobs, needing to find a place to stay, our staff of peers also helps them through that reentry program, and then connects them with a lot of services around the community that also deal with veterans and help them get back into society. Okay? So I've talked a lot about our military programs, and as I said before, we really started out as a community provider, and for 45 years, the services that I've just told you about have been available to the civilians in the community as well. We believe in serving everybody from all walks of life, so we provide services to all socioeconomic groups. We get funding. We work hard to get grants. We have some fundraising events, like Sherry was our auctioneer at our Veterans Ball, the second annual Veterans Ball that we had a few weeks ago. And we get donations, and that is how we're able to provide services to the military population and then to low-income people who don't have insurance. Okay, so I was looking at my slides this morning, and I threw this one in just so I would remember to tell you the story of the great welcome the Samaritan Center has had in Georgetown. We have been here for probably 20 years. It's kind of a legend. No one knows for sure at what point we started bringing counselors up here, because it's very typical for us to partner with churches and put a counselor in a church building so that they can provide services. But about 12 or 14 years ago, we started renting space on Williams Drive. And some of you may know Nelda Carpenter. She is a longtime Georgetown resident. She's been with Samaritan Center for 20 years, and she has been a full-time counselor here in Georgetown for about 14 years. So she's been here that long. And in 2014, we decided we needed to expand to Georgetown. There were a lot more people coming here. We wanted to be a part of that. We applied for a grant with Georgetown Health Foundation. We didn't get it. So I called Susie Pukish and I said, can you give us some feedback? Can you tell me, what was wrong with our application? So she said, yeah, I'd love to sit down with you. So Susie and I sat down for an hour. She gave me some wonderful education. I'm sure you all know, or many of you know, Susie Pukish at Georgetown Health Foundation, just a wealth of information, and told me some more details about what was happening in Georgetown and the services that were needed for really an underserved population. So we got inspired even more to come to Georgetown, but we'd just been turned down for funding, so we didn't have any money to do that. And lo and behold, my development director found herself sitting across from Jenna O'Connor at lunch one day. And Jenna let her know that, hey, we have the Caring Place Annex. We allow people to come there. We don't charge them rent. You can come there and you can see people at the annex. So, great. We did that. We put a counselor up here. That worked well for a few months. We had a long wait list. We put a second counselor there. That was going great. We got to the point where we asked Jenna, can we put a third counselor and an acupuncturist there? She said, yes, but I'm going to have to charge you some rent. So we started paying rent at the Caring Place, and that was fine because by then we had gone back to Georgetown Health Foundation, and they did provide funding for us so we could start expanding in Georgetown, and that's been very exciting ever since. That was going fine for a while. Jenna called me and said, I've got great news about the Caring Place. We are expanding. We're going to move our services over to the annex. Great news for the Caring Place. Not great news for Samaritan Center. We didn't have a home. But she had a solution for me already. She said, I'm going to introduce you to Ron Swain. You need to meet Ron at Gethsemane Annex. So Ron and I met. Within a few months, we had moved from the caring place to Gethsemane, and we have been there for almost 2 years now. And as you know, this is the great church that supports that, so we're allowed to use that space, paying a little bit of rent to the First United Methodist Church, and we are thrilled with that. So thank you for making it so welcoming here to be. Next slide. So this is what we're doing in Georgetown right now. We've got a full-time office on Williams Drive. We have 3 counselors at Gethsemane Annex. That includes a bilingual counselor providing services in Spanish. We have partnered with the Boys and Girls Club. We did some training with their staff on trauma-informed care, how to deal with kids who have behavioral problems, and probably a lot of times something is going on at home. We are working with Upward Bound, so this semester we're out there every Saturday, and we've got a counselor doing programming with their kids, and we're also doing their parent universities, so we've got a program going in Spanish and in English on those days concurrently, so that's happening. And at Right On Center for Kids, we'll be hosting our 3rd military spouse and caregivers retreat this June, and we also have a counselor out there just to see veterans on Wednesdays. So, why is this important? Why is this something that I'm passionate about? You know, I can tell you that in the 7 years I've been with Samaritan Center, I've learned a ton, and I've also learned from people in my own family who have suffered from anxiety and depression. I can tell you that mental illness, if you want to get behind any cause, mental illness is really, I believe, linked to every important social and health issue that faces our community today. Untreated mental illness increases the risk of diabetes, heart disease, lung cancer, hepatitis, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Okay. And just some sobering statistics about mental illness. 1 in 4 of us will have a mental illness. 1 in 5 children have a mental illness. In Texas, 1 person dies of suicide every 3 hours. In Central Texas, the statistics are that 1 person dies of suicide about daily, about once a day. Suicide is the 2nd leading cause of death in ages 15 through 45, and tragically, it is the 3rd leading cause of death in ages 10 to 14. Half of all the children in the United States will experience childhood trauma of some sort in their life. Okay. Some more statistics just to let you know how important this issue is. 30% of high school dropouts have an untreated mental illness. 70% of youth in the juvenile justice system have an untreated mental illness. 90% of the people who die by suicide have a mental illness. The costs to our local governments are huge, $2.2 million annually in the state of Texas for things like jails, emergency rooms, hospital systems, homeless shelters that are dealing with people with mental illness. And the biggest barriers to treatment are identified as stigma, which breaks my heart still, stigma to getting treatment, and then the high cost of treatment. Among veterans returning home, 24% will have PTSD, 23% have traumatic brain injury, 25% of female veterans have experienced military sexual trauma. Half of the veterans needing mental health care will not get it. 20 plus per day will commit suicide, and that's a national statistic. And the suicide rate for female veterans has nearly doubled in the last 10 years. Good news, I don't want to leave you with just the bad news, but we are making progress in prevention. We have learned so much about childhood trauma in the last 10 years. It's a primary indicator of mental illness. It's a subject that is near and dear to my heart, and if you invite me back again, I can talk to you for a couple of hours about the importance of childhood prevention. And what would I like you to do? Help us reduce stigma. Be comfortable talking about brain health. It's part of our bodies, it's part of our brain. Be comfortable talking about it the same way you talk about a broken arm or a heart condition. Learn more about childhood trauma. There's so many great things out there. There's a wonderful TED Talk that will tell you the importance of childhood trauma. Look up Nadine Burke-Harris. She does 15 minutes on the importance of working with people who have experienced trauma. And finally, Georgetown has a great support system for veterans and families, but get involved in that. And if you'd like to know more, call me, come visit me, call Ron. We'll take you on a tour of the Gethsemane Annex. Thank you. I will try. Anybody have any questions? Yes?
Give me a definition of childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma, abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, neglect. All of those things can result in trauma and is the best indicator we have of developing a mental illness later.
You mentioned, two different things. One was PTSD, and then you mentioned traumatic brain injury twice. Is that physical injury to the brain, or is that some sort of emotional injury, the traumatic brain injury? Is that an emotional injury?
Traumatic brain injury is a physical injury. And we are learning so much about the fact that there are physical injuries to the brain. There is a large movement by the Department of Defense right now looking into that, finding that our military people are actually getting some of those injuries during training, and we don't know it because we're not testing for it, we're deploying them anyway. So there's just, the research around this is huge right now.
I know it's a tough one to do, but how do you gauge success in your processes? What measures do you use?
We have a wonderful outcomes management system that, for any of you who are outcomes based, this is something, it's a national program, and we ask our clients every week when they come for weekly appointments to complete, we call it a survey, but it basically talks about their symptoms for the week. How many times have you been angry? How many times have you felt like harming yourself or harming someone else? It asks those questions, and we give that to adults, adolescents, and children with different language. And we use that to show improvement and to help guide treatment every week. We also do a client survey every year that we ask the same questions. Are you feeling better? Did your symptoms improve? Would you recommend us to family and friends? So those are some of the things that we look at and make sure we're doing hopefully a good job.
Yeah, you have a dormitory for the veterans, and you're talking about guys. Do you have a separate wing for the women that show up?
Well, we are outpatient, so we don't really have a wing, but yes, we definitely have some female veteran programs. I will tell you that it's something we feel like we can really improve in. Right now we do an annual group for women that have experienced military sexual trauma, and then we do a woman's group not at the Rock. We actually do this at a different horse farm in Bastrop County, but I think with what we're seeing right now with the female suicide rate doubling, we need to do more of that.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Practice of our club to have our speakers sign a book, and then we donate it to Pearl Elementary to the library. So if you want to sign that, then we'll get it from you before we leave today. Okay. So I have some announcements. First of all, are there any cookies left? Did they sell all the cookies? They're gone. Thank you all, that's awesome. They'll take money, yeah, straight donations, that's a good point. Okay, so tell me where we're meeting next week. Cowan Creek. Okay, we're not going to be here, so if you come here, nobody will be here. All right, and
then the following week, where are we meeting?
right, on the following week, where are we meeting? Nowhere, that's right. So the 19th, there is no meeting. So next Friday, we're at Cowan Creek. The next week is the 19th, that's Good Friday, so we're not meeting. So we'll see you back here on the 26th. That's also a board meeting day. So make sure you check your trumpets and have all these dates down in your phone. All right, are there any other announcements for the good of Rotary? Yes, sir.
I do have my cookies, but I have marked, I used to be in retail, and I have marked them up to $2. Give them the money, I'll give you.
Okay, we're going to raffle off cookies. I like that idea. That's fun. Okay, anyone else? Nathan, are you around here? Are you having a meeting? Okay, so there's a golf meeting after. Any other announcements you want to make? Okay, we're good. All right, if you all would please stand and join me in the things we think, say, and do. First, is the truth. Second, is fair to all concerned. Third, will build goodwill and better friendships. And fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned. We're adjourned. Thank you.